Hello, it's Friday, May 29th. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of What's Happening in Myanmar, a show from the Frontier Myanmar podcast family. I'm your host, Nick Dunlop. Among this week's top stories, Aung Hlaing will visit India, resistance forces and Sagaing clash with the military and with each other, the NUG-affiliated Mingin PDF turns on a rival group, while the regime presses its offensive in Chin State. We also have reports on the United Nations calling for access to essential supplies for women, and the death of an IDP in resistance custody. India's Foreign Affairs Ministry announced that Myanmar's leader, Aung Hlaing, will visit India from Saturday to Wednesday at Prime Minister Modi's invitation. The junta chief will be accompanied by cabinet ministers, senior officials and business delegates. His itinerary includes visiting Bodh Gaya, a significant Buddhist pilgrimage site in Bihar, and he will then travel on to New Delhi for meetings with Modi and President Draupadi Murmu to discuss strengthening bilateral ties with a focus on defence cooperation, trade and regional connectivity. A business forum is also planned. The visit then continues to Mumbai for business interactions and state visits. India's Foreign Ministry emphasised Myanmar's strategic importance to their Neighbourhood First, Act East and Mahagasa policies. The visit has drawn criticism from Myanmar's pro-democracy movement. The National Unity Government's Foreign Minister, Zinma Aung, sent a letter to India's External Affairs Minister objecting to the visit, warning it could grant legitimacy to the regime. Myanmar activists in India have requested permission to hold demonstrations in New Delhi to protest the visit. India has maintained relations with Myanmar's military government since the February 2021 coup, with previous meetings between leaders at various regional summits. Fighting is raging in Sagaing region, where the Kachin Independence Army and its People's Defence Force allies are on the offensive. KIA spokesperson Colonel Norbu told BBC Burmese there is daily fighting in Kathar and Indar townships. On Saturday, resistance forces captured an outpost near Morlu town. On Sunday, they ambushed a regime convoy near Pinmalu village in Kathar, killing 13 soldiers and confiscating weapons and ammunition. The civilian death toll is increasing. On Saturday evening, a shell allegedly fired from a military base in Qatar killed 3 internally displaced people, including an infant, and injured 5 others in Kala In village. In Sagaing's Wonto township, an airstrike on a monastery in Saw Dwin village killed a 14-year-old boy and injured 4 people, including the abbot. The resistance is targeting the vital highway connecting Mandalay to the Kachin state capital Myitkyina, which the regime claimed to have secured on May 6th. A PDF source told the pro-resistance outlet Kit Tit Media, it's more strategic to control sections and encampments on the highway than seizing towns. The Kathar district PDF has warned residents not to use highways in Tijat, Kathar and Indore townships, accusing the military of forcing civilians to transport military equipment. A court in China's Fujian province held trials last week for Wei Weiyan and 2 other members of his crime syndicate over their alleged involvement in cyber scam centres in northern Shan State's Kokang region. The Wei family was one of 4 crime families that controlled the region until they were overthrown by the Three Brotherhood Alliance during Operation 1027 in late 2023. Chinese courts have been charging members of these families since then, with several members of the Ming and Bai families already executed this year. Tensions are escalating between the resistance groups in Sagaing's Mingin township. The National Unity Government-affiliated Mingin People's Administration team arrested on Tuesday 9 members of the Independent Students' Revolutionary Force, including its chair, San Tin Tun. They are accused of installing a rival administration, organising anti-NUG demonstrations, and committing extrajudicial killings. The SRF has rejected the allegations, stating they have only complemented the NUG's governance by providing services like healthcare and education to residents. We have never interfered with the NUG's governance and we have only complemented it, the group said in a statement. They've called for mediation by impartial legal experts and demanded the release of its detained members. The infighting reflects growing fractures within the resistance movement, with locals criticising both groups. Residents previously protested against forceful conscription by the SRF and gold mining approved by the NUG-aligned PAT. After more than 10 years of award-winning journalism, we at Frontier are fighting for our survival. The grants that once supported 2/3 of our operations are no longer available. Despite this, our journalists continue their difficult and dangerous work, but with decreasing resources. Please encourage friends and colleagues to join Frontier so we can continue to produce our trademark features, in-depth investigations, and on-the-ground reporting. By joining Frontier, you'll be supporting us to tell the stories that matter and to cut through the noise and reveal what's really happening in Myanmar. Please click the link in the podcast show notes to join us. Thank you. Resistance groups, including PDFs and the All Burma Students' Democratic Front, seized the stronghold of a Pyusawhti militia in Magwe Region's Mingin township on Saturday. The regime conducted 40 airstrikes to defend the base, but the resistance prevailed, rescuing 49 trapped civilians. 4 militia members were killed while 70 others fled. The conflict in Mingin turned violent earlier in the week when the NUG-affiliated Mingin PDF ambushed a convoy carrying SRF chair San Tin Tun. The ambush came despite security guarantees from the NUG-backed Sagaing federal unit. 2 civilians were injured in the attack, and San Tin Tun was taken to an unknown location. The SRF condemned the PDF for violating security guarantee and called for the immediate release of their leader. The actions have drawn criticism for other resistance groups. Destroying our strength is effectively biting and eating our own tail to the delight of the enemy, one resistance spokesperson told Myanmar Now. The SRF reports that 5 of their members, including a commander, escaped from PDF custody, though the PDF then arrested the commander's wife. At least 16 SRF members remain in detention, and the group accuses the PDF of shutting down Starlink internet services to impose an information blackout. The SRF has urged the NUG to resolve this conflict among allies through peaceful dialogue, and stated they will not retaliate against NUG-aligned troops. "We just want to negotiate with the leaders of the Defence Ministry or the NUGs," said SRF spokesperson Kokang. The Mingin PAT claims they were only trying to arrest alleged perpetrators of crimes and that their forces only fired warning shots into the sky, despite civilians being injured. Dozens of SRF supporters held a demonstration calling for San Tin Tun's release and for a fair resolution to the conflict. Meanwhile, the regime is advancing in Chin State. Military defector Zin Yor told Kuomintang News that soldiers are now just 1.5 kilometers from Kanpelet town. The regime has also sent thousands of troops towards Mindat, with the Yor Defense Force warning civilians to flee due to increased airstrikes and human rights violations by the military. Regime troops have already burned down half the houses in Yortor village in Magwe's Saw township and displaced about 80,000 residents from 10 villages in the area. The UN has called for warring parties in Myanmar to ensure women and girls have access to menstrual hygiene products, warning that denial of these essential supplies violates their rights and dignity. This follows reports that the regime is blocking menstrual products to resistance-controlled areas, believing they can be used to treat wounded fighters. In Sagaing's Taze township, an internally displaced man named Mutar died in PDF custody last month after being detained following the theft of a rifle. His family rejected the explanation that he died suddenly while receiving an IV saline drip. The PDF conducted an autopsy without the family's permission, which a nurse said violated hospital protocol. The family has been unable to get answers from local NUG authorities about the incident. And that's the latest from Myanmar for this week. I'll be back next week to bring you a roundup of all the stories making the headlines on Friday, June the 5th.